What is Starfinder 2nd Edition? What's it all about, and why am I, a Pathfinder 2nd Edition addict, unbelievably excited about it? This is the Dominomicon, authored and hosted by me, Dominic. The Dominomicon is dedicated to all nerdy things, with my current obsession being the TTRPG Pathfinder 2nd Edition. But this video isn't actually about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It's time, finally, to start talking about Starfinder 2nd Edition. Indeed, when I started this channel, I said I would talk about Starfinder 2e when the book's released, and well, now is that time, sort of. So, SF2e Player Core has launched, but due to the newness of the system, we still don't really know how a lot of the stuff is going to work. We're still waiting on Starfinder GM Core and Alien Core due to release later this year before we can really make sense of things. So why am I, a self-confessed handsome PF2e addict, excited, and why should you care? Well, that's because SF2e is cross-compatible with PF2e. The system itself was built from the ground up using PF2e's core. So first things first, if you do not understand what PF2e is whatsoever and have somehow found this video chapter, please go and watch my first ever video that I think sucks now but has some decent info so you understand the basics of these two systems. It'll be the first link in the description and a card will flash on screen now too. And for those who already know PF2e, this video is still going to be worth your time because SF2e could be potentially seen as an expansion or rulebook to PF2e, even if you don't want sci-fi stuff in your fantasy game. So please stick around while I rant on with the reasons why I'm excited about SF2e and what's to come. And if you have zero patience, check the timestamps for the cross-compatibility section to hear my thoughts on combining both of these systems. Before I dive in though, if you found this video chapter helpful and or enjoyable, please give it a like and consider subscribing, joining as a member or becoming a patron. Links are in the description as always, and thanks so much for your support. Right, let's log into the infosphere and start some music. The PF2e fans that don't know about SF2e, it's of course the sequel, if you will, to Starfinder 1st Edition, though this time built with PF2e's whole thing. That means we have the 3-action economy from PF2e, the 4 degrees of success, and spells all the way up until rank 10. Also spaceships and stuff. So SF2e is science fantasy. Think Star Wars, if you will. Take the lore of Pathfinder, the core system of PF2e, fast forward quite a few years, then add a giant gap in everyone's memory with an event called The Gap, and make Galarian disappear, and that is effectively SF2e. That means there's humans, spaceships, laser swords, dragons, eldritch horrors, zombies, gods, jetpacks, rocket launchers, magic, augmentations, all in the same setting built around the wonderful PF2e core system. And quite frankly, if that doesn't get you excited, then I don't care what does, because that sentence alone is enough to make me abandon dating altogether, which isn't that much of a loss, I guess. So we now know what SF2e is, but how does the system work? Okay, so this could actually end up being a list, so I'm going to do exactly that. I'm not going to list off every single difference, but I'm going to list some of the biggest ones that I saw. Instead of fantasy, this is now science fantasy, so instead of casting a flight spell and stabbing a dragon with a sword, you'll be using jump jets in 0G to stab a laser dragon with a pain glaive. And if you have problems with that, you and I are no longer friends. There's now computers, intelligence-based, and piloting dexterity-based. All the other skills are still here, keeping things nice and simple. Credits replace silver, and non-archaic, aka Pathfinder, weapons and armors are upgraded through 7 grades, commercial to paragon. However, runes still exist but can only be placed on archaic items, thus the math stays pretty much the same as it did in PF2e. And of course, there's lots of new weapons here and new traits to go along with some of them too, from rocket launchers and grenades to machine guns, plasma cannons, phase cutlasses, and fang blades. There's so much here that I salivate while talking through it. Hold on, I need a towel. You can slap upgrades onto weapons, kind of like property runes, like throwing a true sight sight on your sniper rifle or a quick lock on your laser sword to give yourself the quicken condition. And you can augment your body, like giving yourself a dragon gland to breathe fire or ultralight wings attached to your shoulder blade so you can fly. That sounds horrendous. Armor upgrades are here too, like an auto CPR unit that reduces those flat dying checks, or energy shielding to give you resistance to acid, cold, electricity, and fire. Speaking of protecting yourself, we have a few new conditions. Glitching, though this is only really for tech items. You have to make a flat check equal to 5 plus your glitching value, and on a fail, you take an item penalty to all of your checks and DCs equal to the glitching value with said tech item. And a crit fail has you lose the action entirely. Suppressed, you take a -1 penalty to attack rolls and a -10 foot penalty to all speeds. Untethered, like when you're in 0G, you can't take move actions, and at the end of your turn, you move 5 feet in the same direction you're already moving. And you can use the push off action to float half his speed, and it can even be done as a free action after a strike or a shove, which is nice. As for environments like a vacuum, it doesn't seem like Player Core has that stuff in it, and I guess it'll be in GM Core, but most armors have built-in protection against that stuff anyway, and radiation damage is now a thing too. There's 6 new classes: the Envoy, a mouthy mastermind that shouts out directives for the party, think Commander meets Bard without magic. The Mystic, a conduit of magical cosmic power that heals and blasts in equal measure, think Cleric meets Oracle, sort of. The Operative, a crack shot tactician that stacks precision damage and parkours around the battlefield, think Ranger / Rogue / Gunslinger. The Solarian, a solar knight attuned to graviton or photon that brings the energy of said forces to the fight, think Champion / Kineticist, or maybe a Jedi. The Soldier, a tanky heavy hitter that lays down suppressing fire or brutal melee swings for the party, think Guardian meets Fighter / Barbarian. And the Witch Warper, a reality twisting spellcaster that pops quantum fields and yanks possibilities from alternate timelines to destroy their enemies. Think Sorcerer meets a really weird wizard. And both casters here are spontaneous for reasons, and every attribute is used here, one for each class, which is nice. There's 10 here overall, though some, like Human and Android, etc., are somewhat similar, but with a few different selections here and there. But otherwise, there's some really weird ones. And those that get multiple arms can swap items to and fro using the Switch Hands single action to change which dominant set of hands they're using. Obviously, space travel is a thing here, and we only have basic information on it as there's more to come soon, but in simple terms, you travel through a place called the Drift, which is a plane that was created by the new god Triune, and this lets you travel at FTL speeds between scattered beacons. Kinda cool, right? Of course, there's plenty more here and plenty more to come when we get GM Core and Alien Core, etc., but I think that's enough to whet the appetite of any PF2e fans, especially when we get to the next section. Okay, let's talk about the holographic elephant in the room, and the biggest reason I'm so excited, and just one of the reasons I cannot sleep at night aside from my crippling insomnia ruining my life. That was a joke, by the way. Gods never sleep, nor apparently do people with massive egos. But it comes with a giant disclaimer. All of this is still new, and considering we're still missing GM Core and Alien Core for SF2e, we simply don't have a lot of info on how this stuff is gonna work. Also, GM Core for SF2e will apparently have information on how to make this stuff more easily compatible, so waiting on that book release is the obvious choice here, but still, technically, all of the stuff from SF2e is compatible with PF2e, and yes, that's about as crazy as it sounds. I've taken a good look through SF2e's player core, and aside from a few minor issues, most of this stuff just kind of works, and by that I mean you can grab the stuff from SF2e and port it into PF2e without much issue. And the issues that do exist can be easily house ruled, and I'll give just 2 examples of that. Example 1, flight. Some Ancestries in SF2e, like the Barafu, can fly from level 1. This can be easily fixed by making flight work how it does in PF2e for the lower level Ancestries, like by using Fletchling Flight. Easy fix. Example 2, tech. Basically, either just ignore or remove any items with a tech trait and remove spells that affect tech also. You could actually still have them in there and just give them a lore reason for existing, or exchange tech with something like a new specific type of magic or whatever. This stuff is pretty easily fixed. That is what magic is for. You can just kind of explain away anything with magic if you try hard enough. Your GM could also just relegate the sci-fi tech stuff to loot that can only be found or given as quest rewards if they wanted. That means that PF2e would have some very special loot that can only be given as a reward, like maybe from a long-lost precursor ancestry who has caches all over Galarian that your group sometimes finds or something, I don't know. As for classes, they work independently from PF2e's but in a completely compatible way. Soldier might need some tweaking due to getting a lot of area of effect range attack abilities, but that could still be explained with like experimental gunpowder weapons or something. And things like augmentations might need removing for lore reasons or kept in and made magic, but all the other things that might sound too sci-fi can just be written as magic and kept in. This stuff honestly just looks like it works. And yeah, none of the classes actually clash with each other necessarily, like they actually work kind of completely separately, which is really awesome. And technically, you can do this the other way around too with even less issues. Putting PF2e content into SF2e should be super easy. We have yet to learn about starship combat and more tech stuff like hacking, but we'll get that stuff when GM Core releases, I imagine. So this is why I'm excited. There's a bunch of new ancestries, 6 new classes, new spells, new items and weapons, new conditions, and soon new aliens/monsters. And every time we get SF2e content, we get more PF2e content. It's potentially going to be crazy. Again, I'm sure there's some teething issues that need to be looked into here and there, but generally speaking, this stuff can pretty much just work for those who are into SF2e and PF2e, or just one or the other. In summary, I am excited because SF2e, while it's its own system entirely, can be be seen as a giant new rulebook for PF2e. And yeah, there's still lots of stuff to figure out, but it looks like this cross-compatible stuff is for real, and that is just so exciting. And it looks like SF2e will be released as a full system for Foundry VTT, and hopefully a module 2 so we can import content as we please. And the creative path builder Red Razors is working on making SF2e work for that too as a separate paid product. So hopefully this video chapter has made you at least 14% as excited for SF2e as I am, because bringing in all that awesome content to PF2e is a dream for someone like me, as I love sci-fi as much as I do fantasy. Yes, I'm a complete dork. And I'll be doing more SF2e content as we get more content, hopefully bolstering the already massive and amazing PF2e system. And before I forget, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Starfinder Galaxy Guide for SF2e, which comes with a few Ancestries for 2nd edition, again with cross-compatibility with PF2e. It's also just a good book for general SF2e lore information, and if you really want to get stuck into the lore here, I'd actually also highly recommend the Pact Worlds book for SF 1st edition, as it has a lot of good info in there that's still pretty relevant today. That's going to be it for this video chapter. I'd like to take a moment to thank my members and archivists, Max Magnus 20019, Aussie Smith, Shard, Sirakia, and patron and archivist Clash. Thanks again, guys, for all your support. But for now, this is Dominic of the Domininomicon, wishing you a fond farewell, and until next time, goodbye.